Welcome back, everybody, to the official podcast of the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, Patrolling in Paradise. My name is Gabriella Ruiz, Public Information Officer here at CCSO, and today I am joined by Detective Kimberlin from the Criminal Investigations Unit. Detective Kimberlin, go ahead and say hello.
Hello.
So today I want to ask you a bunch of questions, of course, about the Criminal Investigations Unit and what type of cases that you handle, but I also want to get into, it's summertime. I want to talk about safety precautions, especially those with boats and those out on the water. But let's start out with the Criminal Investigations Unit. Talk to me about what that's like and what those cases are that you guys take in.
Absolutely. So the Criminal Investigations Unit here at the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office is one of the best units to be in my opinion. We deal with property crimes. We also deal with missing persons and anything else that has to do with that sort of nature. Some of the cases in property crimes is going to be, burglaries, stolen vehicles. We also deal with frauds. So when it comes to credit card frauds, exploitation, abuse, things like that, we also deal with that. So that's just some of the type of cases that we deal with in the Criminal Investigations Unit.
Okay. So around the holiday time when people are having a bunch of packages delivered and they're porch pirates, we hear about them all the time. Do you guys deal with that stuff as well?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we also deal with that. A lot of when people, a lot of things are coming out now with the, where they're calling and saying that a loved one's been arrested or they need money and they're putting money into certain types of machines and the money is disappearing. We're dealing with that also. Porch pirates is a big thing. It's a big thing around the holidays. Those Amazon packages get delivered sometimes at, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning when people aren't awake and people walking on the street see it as the type to take the package and go.
Yeah. Amazon Prime Day, everybody loves it, but then that's just an invitation because you have boxes upon boxes coming to your door and it's so convenient and easy. I know I'm guilty of it. We click the deliver between 4 and 8 a.m. because, when I wake up, it'll be there. But that's definitely something that people should take into account is, that delivery time frame. And if they can make sure that somebody's home to bring those packages inside right away.
That is correct. Or another big thing is if you do have a designated spot for this package, to make sure that spot is on camera. That way, if something does come about where the package is either not delivered or, somebody else takes it, we can then go right to that camera source and go through the camera footage and see exactly who took it and why they took it and what direction of travel they left when they did take it to help us, because it might have been a neighbor, it might have been the wrong package, whatever the case may be. Just make sure when you're having packages delivered, they're being delivered to a secured spot and that they're on camera.
Right, absolutely. Now, I know on my side of the house, I post on social media a lot of the times of lock your doors, the 9 p.m. routine. And that is something that, honestly, I feel like we can't post enough of. We could post it every day, and there's still going to be, unfortunately, people who leave their doors unlocked. And I know you see it all the time where it's convenient. They leave their keys in the ignition or they have the fob. They leave their purse in the passenger seat because it's easy. Oh, I live in a safe neighborhood. I mean, you probably hear and see it all. Can you talk about vehicle burglaries and the importance of locking your doors?
Absolutely. So the technology in vehicles has come so far. And it's always evolving and it's always getting better. Just because you live in a gated community doesn't mean that it's going to keep people out. If somebody wants to get into that gated community, they're going to get into that gated community. And that's where we see some of the vehicle thefts that happen is they go, well, I didn't think I had to lock my vehicle because I live in a gated community. That's not the case at all. Always lock your vehicle and always take your valuables out of the vehicle. Anything of value that you can think of, take out of your vehicle. Just because you stand there at the front door and you lock your car with one key fob, but the other key fob's still in the car, all they have to do is break that window or get the window to come down. And once they get in the car, as soon as they put their foot on the brake and push the start button, they're off and running. And then you have a stolen vehicle.
Right.
So it's always good, once you lock your door, to walk outside and physically, pull on the door handles to make sure everything is locked. And guns are a big thing. Please don't leave guns in your car, because then they get into the wrong hands at that point. But valuables, do not leave them in your car.
And speaking to that, it's almost like if they see something in the vehicle, like if they look in the car and they see a purse sitting on the passenger seat or they see clutter, that kind of is almost like an invitation because they think, oh, there might be something in here. Removing those valuables and kind of getting into the habit of that 9 p.m. routine and making sure, as much as we post, silly things and, lock your doors and we make memes about it, it is a very, very serious thing because it's happening everywhere. Gated communities, it's happening in quiet little neighborhoods, and removing that temptation is half the battle.
Correct. Cases that we work, we do tend to see that when they do come up, especially if it's somebody not from our area, they are looking in the windows first before they're actually gaining access, or they're just pulling on door handles. So if they, like you said earlier, if they do look inside that vehicle and they do notice that there's a purse, a firearm, cash, credit cards, whatever the case may be, it's easy because they know what they're looking for. It's a break the window, reach what they want, and they're gone. And a lot of times they're using, when they get valuables like your credit cards, they're using them before you're even up. So if your car's broken into, and let's say you get a notification at 3 o'clock in the morning and your car's broken into at midnight, you're not going to know about that till you get up the next morning, because a lot of people don't wake up to text messages. And that's how banks are communicating with people right now, is saying, hey, did you make this? So they're already using your card before you even get up in the morning.
Yeah.
And they're already obtaining goods from your credit card or debit card, whatever the case may be.
Now, it's summertime. Kids are out of school. And I'm sure with summertime and people out and about, you probably see cases like this, like vehicle burglaries. You see those things, I would imagine, on the rise.
Yeah, it starts to pick up over the summertime, in the juvenile aspect of it, just because they don't have to be up for school in the morning. They can hang out at night, And a lot of times we see where they go over to a friend's house and a friend lives in another neighborhood and they're not quite familiar with the neighborhood, so they just start car to car. They just start, pulling on door handles, trying to get into the vehicles, and going from there. And that's where we express the 9 p.m. routine, lock your doors, take your valuables out, because like I said earlier, some people think it's okay to leave your gun in your car. Then it gets into a juvenile's hands, and then we have a bigger problem.
Right.
And we want to do everything we can to prevent that at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Now, on the other side of that, of the 9 p.m. routine, you also have people with boats, and whether they're at the marina, whether they're in their driveway, you're seeing an uptick in marine thefts. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. The state of Florida, it's not just Charlotte County, but the state of Florida in a whole, has seen a drastic increase in marine theft cases in reference to GPSs. So what we've been able to establish so far is that there's individuals who are going around, and what they're doing is they're targeting marine theft. They're targeting GPSs. We're seeing primarily it's right around the Garmin area, the Garmin brand of GPSs. And the reason that they're going after those is because Garmin, the GPSs sit about an inch or two off the dash, which means they're held in by screws. So what that does is that makes it possible for these people that are going around committing these crimes to take the plastic piece off the Garmin and unscrew them. They can use a hand tool. They don't necessarily have to use a drill. They can just use a screwdriver, which then makes it a little bit more easier for them because it's quiet and stealthy. So they then pull those GPSs off. They can then reach in. Once they pull it off, they can then reach in through that hole, and they can unscrew the cables and just take the GPS unit itself and not the cables.
So what are some steps that, people who have boats with these types of GPSs on their boat, how do they prevent that? Because it's not like, it's not like a car where you can lock all the doors and
Correct.
You're safe.
Yeah. Well, boats are like cars, but there's different steps that they can take, and I totally understand where you're coming from. Because unlike your car, your boat's not really surrounded, but they do make boat covers. So you can do a boat cover on your boat. They also make what they call a helm guardian lock, which is a bar that goes across the front of your dash, which is what you can put up there with a lock. They also make console locks. And in the criminal investigation units, we also deal with storage unit burglaries. And that's something that we express to the victims of our storage unit burglaries is there's a certain lock. And it's about this big around, and it's a round lock with a little tiny space in it where the lock actually is the mechanism to lock. And we advise people to use those locks because they're harder to cut, and you can't drill them out like a normal lock, like a normal padlock. You can put one of those on the console of your boat to prevent them from getting in the boat. Just some other preventative measures that we can do is removing your keys from the boat, right? I know Garmin has Garmin Express, so you can actually register your GPS with Garmin. They make something out there called a one-way screw. What a one-way screw does is a one-way screw goes into it, goes into the fiberglass one way, but if you try to extract it from the fiberglass, it strips the head out on it. So they can't pull the screw out. It then would take time to drill that screw out and then pull it out. That's a little peace of mind.
Yeah.
To have.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but criminals are looking for opportunity. They're looking for a quick way to get what they want and get out. So any little step that you can take, it sounds like, to deter them or delay them, they're gonna keep on going to the next one.
You hit the nail right on the head with it. They're gonna find the quickest and easiest way, the quickest way to get in, the quickest way to get what they're doing, and then getting out. If we can put these plans in place and these steps in place for our citizens to start doing, almost like a 9 p.m. routine, but for your boat, make sure your cover's on your boat. Make sure when you pick a dry storage unit for your boat that you're picking a place, walk the area. Have the people, when you go to a storage lot, walk it with them or get on a golf cart with them and make sure that there's cameras. Make sure that there's lighting. Make sure that there's all these things to deter these people so it makes it harder for them to do it. Because another thing that we advise people to do is mark your GPSs. On the backside of your GPS, put your name, put your phone number, put something in permanent marker. Don't put a sticker on it, but put some sort of identification on it that can't be wiped off. So we can, if we do happen to run across them once they are stolen, we can positively identify them. We do know that GPSs have serial numbers, and sometimes they get registered, and sometimes they don't get registered. But if you can at least put your name, your address, and your phone number on the back of it, it makes it it stands out a little bit when we're able to recover them.
Right. And it is summertime. Everybody loves being out on the water and in the pool and wherever, because that's what we do. Kids are out of school. We want to go have fun, and that's great.
Yep.
But on the same token of vehicles and the 9 p.m. routine and locking your doors and removing those valuables, you have to do that with everything. You have to do that with your boat, your vehicle. I know right now Sheriff Permel and our agency is really cracking down on and educating the public on e-bikes and e-motos and all of the above. I'm sure you see thefts with those as well.
Yeah. It's not just being a predominantly boating community. It's not just a summertime where we see this. We see it all around. Because, before summertime, we have tarpon season. So guides are leaving equipment on boats because they're working all day, coming home, and then saying, oh, it'll be okay on the boat. There's cameras here. Take everything off of your boat. Fishing poles, personal equipment, e-perbs are expensive, stuff like that. Take everything off your boat. Don't leave firearms on your boat. It's just like your car. Take everything off your boat. That way there's no temptation for anybody to go on your boat or around your boat or steal any of your personal items.
Right. And it's we live in a day and age where, we do need to take these steps, but it's so easy to become complacent and say, oh, I live in a safe community. It's fine. I'll be back in the morning. Nothing's going to happen. And especially, if you've been out on the water all day having a good time, it's just easy to leave your stuff and kind of hope for the best. But taking that extra step and making it a part of your routine, and that's the key word, the routine.
Yep.
That's going to be critical.
Correct. I'm an avid boater myself. I know how important GPSs are. And I understand that even though our boats are kept in a marina, it's still, we walk the marina, we did everything that we needed to as far as preventative wise to make sure that we're not going to fall victim to one of these people at the end of the day. And it's hard being out there all day in the sun, and you get exhausted. It's exhausted, and the last thing you want to do is clean out the boat. But take the extra 30 minutes, take the extra hour, clean out the boat, take everything out of it that doesn't have value, and then go from there. And make sure your boat's secured at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head, because we live in Southwest Florida. So I say summertime and kids are out of school, but we literally live in paradise. And all year long, these are steps that people need to be taking to keep their valuables safe, to make sure that that opportunity isn't there. Because if you remove the opportunity from the criminals, then the higher probability it is that they're going to move along.
Yep. If you give them the advantage, they're going to take it. If you show them that it's going to be easy, and that's the whole point of this podcast today, is to get people to understand that let's not make it easy for them. Let's make them not want to come back here. So do the preventative stuff that we suggest. And if they ever have any questions, they can always reach out. But do the preventative stuff that we ask. That way it makes it harder for them to get a hold of the GPSs or any type of personal equipment that's on a boat.
Right. And we talked about vehicles, we talked about boats, e-bikes, e-scooters, really all of the above, storage units. There are specific steps that people can take to protect each one of these things. And if someone, like if I had a storage unit and I didn't know what that type of lock was, or if I had questions, could I call in on the non-emergency number and ask to get that information?
Yeah, absolutely. We're always here to assist with whatever we need. If you see one of us out and about and you have questions, feel free to ask, because in the criminal investigations unit, we cover a lot of different things. And if we don't know the answer to it, we will definitely find the answer and write down your information and get back with you. Like I said, when we go to a call and we are working an active case, we always try to instill in the victim of what we can do better, so that this doesn't happen again. Especially when it comes to like storage unit burglaries and vessel thefts and stuff like that. We want to help them to ensure that this doesn't happen again, that they don't fall victim again.
Absolutely. Now, for owners of the marine sales places that, people that are selling boats with these GPSs on them, if I'm an owner, what steps do I take to protect my parking lot of boats that I'm trying to sell?
Absolutely. The best way to prevent it is get a good camera system. Good camera system, really good lighting. The better the lighting is, the better, honestly. That's just the way it is. More lighting, the better. We want it to light up at night, make it stand out.
Right.
Perimeters, have a really good perimeter fence. And also, when you try to get with a security company, try to see if they offer things like if they can put readers on the fences, to where if the fence is compromised, that it sends an alert.
Oh. Or,
for instance, it shoots laser beams across the floor, and it's able to track detection. We have a marina who has that system in the area, and I would much rather go out to that marina every night for an animal that's walking out there and be able to prevent that and show our presence than not have it and then them potentially get hit by, GPS thefts or anything like that.
Right. Circles back to that opportunity. You take
Correct.
away the ease of it all, you take away the opportunity, and they're going to move on.
Loud sounding alarms, when something is triggered, because a lot of our boat yards here are on 41. Our deputies at night are doing a great job patrolling 41 and making sure everything's safe. So if a deputy's driving down and he automatically hears it, he can stop what he's doing and go right over there and take care of the situation. And, at least check the business out while he's there and may be able to prevent something.
So are there like groups of individuals that are targeting these marinas or targeting boats, or is this Is this just random, or can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, it's groups of individuals who are going around and stealing these GPSs, and when they steal them, what they're doing is they're just selling them on like Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and stuff like that. On the dark web is what they're doing, is they're selling it. A lot of trends that we're seeing right now, speaking for the whole state of Florida, is that they're going down to Miami. Everything's going down to Miami and being distributed through there.
Now, Detective Kimberlin, I want to circle back to something we were talking about earlier, and that is e-bikes and e-motos and really just bicycles in general. I know that you in the criminal investigations unit, you deal with those thefts all the time. And I want to just know if there's steps that people can take to prevent that from happening, or really just keep track of their bike or e-bike.
Absolutely. E-bike thefts are on a rise. And the reason they're on a rise is because everybody's buying them. People are buying them for their kids. People are using them as a mode of transportation. Some of the advice that we give is that when you get your e-bike, make sure you take a picture of it, because you can buy an e-bike off of Amazon. You can buy an e-bike from Walmart. There's many different avenues to buy an e-bike now. Make sure you take a picture of it. Make sure when you get it, you have a serial number. Okay, there's a serial number on it. Make sure you take a picture of that serial number. Make sure you send that picture to a friend, or you print it out and have a copy of it at your house, because something may happen to your phone. And it's going to ease the process when we do recover the bike, as far as being able to identify it. If you make any modifications to your e-bike, make sure you take pictures of those. Make sure you take pictures and you give it to the responding deputy so they can then pass it along to us. The sheriff's office offers a great program. It's called the BAT program. And that's ran by our community policing officers and our community affairs unit. And go ahead, Gabriella.
I was going to say, you say BAT program, and for people that don't know what that stands for, that is our Bicycle Anti-Theft Program. And like you said, our community policing officers, community affairs unit, which I'm a part of, that program is really incredible, because not only do we have a form that they can fill out, the make, the model, the color, serial number, like you mentioned, they can fill out all that information and keep a copy for themselves. But then the sheriff's office also retains a copy. And we also put a sticker on, usually a hidden place on the bike, on like the underside. And it's not just any sticker. It's a sticker that if it is peeled off, it actually leaves, it still leaves a trace so that it can be identifiable. But essentially what that program does is, if you're out there and you come across a bike and you flip it over and you see that sticker, that number on that sticker can then be tracked to our system, and then we can reach out to that person and say, hey, we recovered your bicycle. And again, that's just another step that people can do to prevent these types of things from happening, or in the event that it is stolen, they can recover it and get their property back.
Yep, it'll definitely assist in the investigation.
So for people that want to register or become a part of the BAT program, they can definitely reach out to our community affairs unit. They can call in. They can come into any of our district offices, and we have the stickers and the forms available that if they want to register their bike. And that goes for bikes, kayaks, scooters, golf carts. There's all different types of apparatuses, if you will, that the
correct,
BAT program covers.
Yep, and it's just doing this to your bicycle, your golf cart, whatever you decide to do it on. It's just an added peace of mind. It's an added security feature. Put it somewhere where no one's going to find it, and no one can rip it off. And if they do rip it off, it has tracking on it, so we can always then go back through and find out where it came from and stuff like that. But it's just an added peace of mind for our citizens to have, knowing that their stuff is safe. And if it does happen to get stolen, we are able better to recover it and able to identify it. Absolutely.
Now, Detective Kimberlin, I know we've talked about a bunch of different, we've talked about boats and we've talked about bikes and really the criminal investigations unit as a whole. So I won't take up too much more of your time, but I appreciate you coming on the podcast and really talking about the importance of the 9 p.m. routine, locking your doors, and steps that people can take to protect their property. Because like I mentioned earlier, I can post a 9 p.m. routine, lock your doors all day long, but sometimes until it happens to them, or they hear it from the source. They hear it from the detective that sees it every day.
Yep.
Maybe that's what it takes to drive the message home. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into this episode of Patrolling in Paradise, and we will see you next time.